Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I'm James and you're watching Blue Dog Aquatics. Alright guys, today we're doing something a little different. This is Harley right here and this is Joker sniffing my leg. They're both Huskies. Miss Harley here is actually pregnant, so that's exciting for my buddy Dylan. Well, today what we have here is a 125 gallon. It's going to be a reef. I know it's not salt, or I know it's not fresh water, but it doesn't matter the aspect of whether it's salt or fresh on what we're going to be talking about today. Today what we're going to be talking about is the proper setups with the plumbing and testing tanks. Now this is a used tank. This isn't a brand new tank. So with brand new tanks, you normally have to put in the bulkheads or have the bulkheads drilled. When you buy used tanks that are this large, make sure that this tank is on a main floor or basement, or it has load bearing supports underneath it, because these tanks weigh a ton. I mean, figure 8 pounds a gallon for water times 125 gallons just for the upper tank, not counting the sump down below. I mean, that's a whole lot of weight. Also, what I was talking about with the sump, or with the bulkheads, is this has used plumbing. So what we're doing right now is we got a garden hose. It's not a huge deal. All we're doing is water testing the tank to make sure that the tank holds water. Now it still has existing plumbing in the background, and so we want to make sure that the shutoffs and everything like that hold before we add all the additional plumbing in to run down to the sump. Now if you have a big tank like this, whether it's fresh water or what have you, what we're going to do today is we're going to walk you through the easiest way and the most effective way. I think all in all the PVC and everything, I think he spent like 80 bucks on everything for a tank this large. So we'll step by step, and as you can see, the tank's slowly filling. We're not quite to the bulkheads yet, but it'll get there in a minute. And once we make sure that nothing leaks, then we'll walk you through how to do all the PVC and plumbing and all that, and hopefully we teach you something. If you have any comments on a different way we could have set up the plumbing, make sure to drop a comment down below, and also make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this channel. Give us that thumbs up. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. Alright guys, so going through the process of filling up this tank and checking the bulkheads, we did find a bad one. Now, the problem with used tanks is people think that they have to put a ton of silicone or a ton of glue just to hold the bulkhead on. But this gasket in here is actually designed with the pressure ring to hold that bulkhead in place where it doesn't leak. You don't need all the additional silicone and all that. Well, what happened with this one is there was a bubble in the silicone which was allowing this bulkhead to leak. And so it had to come completely out. And so we're replacing it with a different one, and we'll show you that as we go through it. Now, before you put a new bulkhead in, you want to free up the space of any debris. So what I did is I took a razor blade. Hi Harley. I took a razor blade and scraped off all the silicone on the inside and outside, and then because you want to be careful what chemicals you use, you do want to make sure that that area is clean. That way the new bulkhead seats really well. And so what I did is I just took normal Dawn dish soap, I put a little bit of water on it, and I scrubbed. And you can see the nice clean spot where I scrubbed both the inside and the outside, freeing everything of all the debris. So hang tight, and I'll grab the other bulkhead, and we'll show you how to put that in, and we'll get going on the installation of all the plumbing. Alright Alright guys, we got the new 1-inch bulk valve, brand new. It's got a nice clean gasket, no tears or anything like that on it. We had to go to a couple different stores just to find it. So all you do, bulkheads should be, you want to make sure that the gasket when you put it on there is nice and seated, and then you're going to thread it on the thread in the back. Now when you tighten it, people want it always, I don't know why, they want a death grip on. Bulkheads do not need to be that tight. All you're going to do is you're going to hand tighten them. So I got a nice hand tight on it, and then all you're going to do, take some channel locks, and you're going to give it quarter of a turn. That's it. It does not need to be anything more than that, because anything more than that, two things are going to happen. You're going to break the bulkhead, it's going to crack, break, whatever, or you're going to break the tank. It happens. I've seen the backs of tanks shatter because people death grip them on. Like I said, hand tight and then quarter turn. That's it. So what we're going to do now, we have the new bulkhead in. Before we go plumbing the rest of it, we want to make sure that it's watertight. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the hose back in here. We're going to refill it back up to the top above the bulkhead. Make sure there's no leaks, and then we'll get into doing the rest of the plumbing. Good. Okay guys, we got the tank full again. We're doing a water test to make sure that the bulkhead is holding, and as you can see on the back, I got my hand over it because there was water, but we have absolutely no leaks. So what we're going to do next is we're going to drain it back down, and then we're going to start piecing the plumbing together. Alright guys, this is how you Alright guys, I'm going to take a quick second to make sure that you like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Hit that like button and stay tuned to all of our upcoming videos. Getting back at this. Alright, so as you can see, there's 4 bulkheads behind this tank, which honestly is too many. But that's the problem with having a used tank. You get what you get. So what we have here is we have 2.5 inch drains that we're going to use, and then we have 1 inch pipe, and that's going to be the return feed for your incoming. Now we do have this new bulkhead in here that we just replaced, and what we're doing with it is nothing. We're literally going to cap it. We're going to put a screen mesh on the front, so that way, which the screen mesh will come later. We'll show you later videos when this is all up and running. But for today, all we're going to do, take your primer. This is probably, I don't know, 6-inch piece. We just really cut it with, you want to make sure you have nice clean cuts. And that's why I actually like the PVC cutter. Sawzalls, people used to use them a lot, but you're tearing it up and you're not guaranteed a straight edge. So all this does, this little purple slime, is take off any contaminants or anything like that that is on the PVC. This piece in particular is a used piece, but that's all right. And now what we're going to do too is we're going to put primer inside the new bulkhead. Give that a second to dry. Anytime you connect PVC, you always want to make sure that everything is pre-cleaned, and then that way you get a stronger bond with your cement when you're doing it in there. Now, Dylan did say, oh, the tank has water. So, and we use Dawn dish soap, which is safe for aquariums, to clean up the area from the bulkhead. Now we're using this. Now, yes, the tank is full, but the tank's gonna have to get drained. And that, I know it's a water waste, but we do that because anything that comes off in this whole process is going in the tank. And when this tank's up and running, you don't want that to harm the fish. Even though it is salt water and not fresh water, it's still the same things. Any foreign contaminants the fish could eat or get lodged somewhere in your filtration system, and man, trust me, you do not want this sucker backing up and having that all over your floor. So that other piece is dry. Now, I guess I should have done this too. Now this is the cap that we're putting on it. Very straightforward. Make sure no water comes out. And the funny thing is once we get this tank all plumbed, it's a good idea to wait about 24 to 48 hours before you water test it again. That way all the seals and everything are bonded. And then what you'll do after that is you'll fill it back up. You'll turn on your pumps and everything, and you will make sure that everything's sealed. If it's not, then you need to cut or try and glue to make sure that it seats. But if you do it right, you should only have to glue it once. Now this is cement glue. This is for PVC and all the different all-purpose glue. And all we're doing is wrapping around it, make sure that there's glue on every end. Go inside the bulkhead and push. Now you're gonna have to wait maybe, I don't know, 20 seconds. This stuff, on a hot day, this stuff dries quick. Seated enough where I can start moving on. It's not completely seated where I couldn't go, like if I pulled hard enough on it, I could still pull it out, but we don't want to do that. So, we might get a little bit of extra glue. What we're going to do is do this side, and we're going to put a little bit of glue on the other side. And then all we're going to do is push this cap on. Now, excuse me, you may wonder why I'm leaving this much space. Well, if you look at this 1.5-inch bulkhead right now, if I were to cut it, let's say I wanted to change this, but I don't want to replace the bulkhead. Well, that means you'd have to cut right on the edge of this 90 and hope that you have enough PVC left for the new 90 to grab hold of. This tank is already going to stay away from the wall, so it's not a huge deal that this is out here. If he wants to come back and, let's say, make this another return or make it another drain or do something else with it, he has all this room right here. It barely sticks out past the existing PVC. And all he has to do is come in and he's got plenty of room to work with. So, that's nice and seated. Now, we're going to move on to, so this tank actually originally came with other PVC. Now, you can see here this is a threaded piece. And underneath here is a threaded coupler. Now, man, these shutoffs are so expensive, so we were going to change it out, but we decided to keep it the same. So, what we're going to do is all you do, so there's a seat or a gasket in here, and all you do is place it up there, and this is the same thing. It is a hand tightened fitting. You hear that? It stopped. Quarter turn, we're good. Now you may like, oh man, that's way too long. Well, guess what? We're gonna cut it. But we gotta figure out where the sump's gonna be exactly, so we know exactly where to do the transition. So, we're coming over here. This is the sump. currently in there backwards because we were just trying to get it out of the way. So we're going to set the pump out of the way. Now these right here are intakes. These come with the sump, and all these do is thread in. So because they thread in, they sit up a little bit taller, and I don't want the pain of dealing with it underneath a tank. So now normally this sump would sit in here sideways, but the way this sump is, or the way the stand is built, it just won't fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it all hard fitted, and then we're going to brace underneath the sump, and it's just going to hang out in the back. And you can kind of see that back there. It's going to have a platform underneath it, and that allows us more and more room to work with all the PVC. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to grab a 90. Now I'm going to make sure that stays up there so I don't lose it. We have my bucket of mystery pieces. Now this is the cutter I was telling you about. You can buy them from any hardware store. All you do, click them and they do a nice smooth cut. Now, how you open them? Boom. You just pop the legs and it pops right open. So, because I've been doing this a while, now I gotta move my PVC and cleaner down where it's gonna be more accessible to me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna eyeball this. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it right here. There's no point in me having, like I said, this is existing plumbing that was with the tank. They had 2 independent sumps that sat behind the tank, and that's why they go all the way to the floor. Now, why you would cut this little piece and then add in a coupler is, I don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to go just above Alright guys, we went ahead and got the 90 on here. We got it shortened up and cut down to the proper height that we need to match up with the sump. This right here is what attaches to the sump. You remember that little piece that we had? That's this right here. It connects into the back of the intake of the sump. We could shoot some video. Those 2 little holes sticking up, that's what this screws into. Now what do we have on top of this? Now this is a 1-inch piece. Now the drainage pipes are 1.5 inches. So what we had to do is we had to do a, well, essentially a reducer from the big side down. And so this is an 1.5 inches female to female, and that's a smooth end. And then we did a 1.5 inches to 1 inch reducer to fit the piece here. Now all this does is, I'll go around to the back side of the tank here, and all we're going to do with this one and there we have it. We'll do a little bit of tightening to make sure everything's snug, but we'll fast forward to us putting in the next piece. Okay, as you can see guys, We jumped ahead. We're currently draining the tank. But as you can see, we got all the plumbing going over to the sump over here. We have both fittings going up for the main drains. What we're working on right now, we also put it in the skimmer, just because that way it's in there. Now what we're working on right now is the return pump. We're going to hard fit it, and right now he's putting on the adapter line from hard fitting to soft hose.
I'm
trying to. Now make sure you use hard clamp or metal clamps. Well, I like to when they're outside of water. That way there's no chance of them coming off. I'm really not a fan of the plastic clips, just a personal preference on there. Make sure that when you're doing your PVC, you prime, get that PVC nice and clean before you glue. That way it sets really nicely. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll show you the end result of this. All we're doing here is we're connecting the adapter, so a 1-to-1, this is a 1-inch line, to a soft, and then we have a female to female end, and then we're going to put a small piece of PVC in, and then we're going to use a 90 smooth end to point it directly up. And you see that 1-inch pipe right over there? We're actually going to cut off the screw in part of it and make it just a female to female, or I'm sorry, we're going to put a female to female up there as well, just to make sure it's all done. So we don't want to bore you with sitting here watching us struggle with this, so I'll show you the end result here in a second. Alright guys, as you can see, we got the 90 put in there. This is for the return line. It's hard fitted in from the soft line coming straight up. Now, we got that screw-on coupler cut off, but as always is in any project, we were one female coupler short, so the video is going to end with it like that because we still have to run out and go get another one. But yeah, this is the overall project here. We have both the drains, we have the intake and everything, so it's all squared away. Once that piece is on, we'll let it sit for about 24 hours and we'll get it up and running. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. Also check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and give us a like on there. We have Aquashella coming up here in the middle of August, so that's fast approaching. Sorry, can't speak. So stay tuned for those videos. We're going to do some husbandry videos next week, so stay on that. And as always, the big question, your tank or mine?